when I am driving, I often say that half the Indian population is colorblind. They see a red signal also as green. So
True.
they don't stop. They just go through it. So they are colorblind. That is what I always say. And that this is what I used to tell to the parents. I said, even if you're taking your children for a drive, and if you cross the red, signal, child is observing that, child is also going to do the same thing, that nothing happens. My dad also does it. So don't do such things which children are going to, later on repeat in front of you. And then you feel bad that, why is he doing this? Because he's learned it from you. Teacher is not teaching him in the school all the time.
Welcome to the podcast Tea with a Teacher. I am your host, Syed Hamid Hassan. In this podcast, we talk to inspiring teachers and listen to their amazing stories. In today's episode, we have someone who have traveled the country as an army officer's wife, worked in different schools, and experienced that the best way for a child to learn is to be a part of the child's learning process. She have experimented with a blend of global and Indian methodologies in classrooms and created a program on activity-based learning called Learning by Doing. She is a trainer, a teacher, and a career counselor. I welcome our guest today, Mrs. Tinabhanot.
Thank you so much, Hamid, for that warm introduction.
You're most welcome to the show, ma'am. Well, to start with, we ask this question to every guest that we have, as this podcast is about teachers, their stories. So, how did you find your passion in teaching, and what led you to become a trainer and a career counselor?
So, Hamid, yes, you said it rightly that everybody's got their own story in life. Whatever they're doing in today's world, something is behind it. Rightly said, I also have my own story because I got married at a very young age, and that to an army officer. And my decision was to move along with him, not staying at one place. So I realized it very soon that, the best job for me to be occupied and to learn something and to in side by side, to give also to the children. So I thought that teaching is the best profession for me. I also admired my teachers while I was in the school. I used to admire a few of my teachers, and I used to feel that time that I would like to be teacher one day like them. But never, it was never a goal setter for me that okay, I want to be a teacher. But it was always at the back of my mind. But when I got married to an army officer and I was in a situation where, taking up a job which was to stay in one place was not possible for me. So I started giving it a thought, okay, might as well, try teaching. So that is how I got into teaching. And I was not a qualified teacher by then. I had not done my B.Ed and all, but I stepped into this particular domain, without any teaching experience as such. So no exposure to be as a teacher, but I was a fresher, and I just joined in because by the time my son had also started going to a play school. So I was also quite young. I was hardly maybe 23-year-old, and I started my teaching career. And that is how, I started loving it so much that I said, no, this is the job I want to do. This is something I want to do because I got so well connected with the students. And there, in my first school itself, the principal, she liked the way I was approaching towards children. And she said, why don't you do your B.Ed to become a, proper full-time teacher? So that is how the whole idea changed. And I started preparing for my B.Ed, and finally did my B.Ed with a second baby on the way. I went all the way to Chidambaram to give my practical exams. And that was a life changer for me because then I had a proper, teaching certification and a degree so that I was a qualified teacher by then with a little experience, which I had experienced in 1.5 years. So within 2 years, I completed my B.Ed and become a teacher. And that is how my journey started. And since then, there is no looking back. There's no looking back. I'm absolutely going in that particular domain, exploring and doing new things and getting along with not only teachers, but also with the students side by side.
Well,
So
that's
yes, that
amazing.
is how I started my own journey.
It's good that you knew since the beginning that you want to become a teacher? It was just back in your mind while you are, and your teachers inspired you. Well, nowadays we don't look teaching as a profession. We put it as a second option when you are doing engineering and you are not able to make it to become a successful engineer. So you opt in for some subject teacher. But as you knew since beginning that you have to do this, that's amazing. And what about how did you end up being a trainer? You must have thought that there must be some skill which is lacking in the teachers, or what motivated you to become a trainer? What problem are you trying to solve of the teachers?
Being a trainer was like something which I experienced during my being a teacher in different schools. We used to go for different trainings. We used to attend so many trainings run by Oxford or Madhuban Publications, or some, private freelancers trainers who used to train us in different domains. Maybe something which I'm doing today, I've also learned over the years through different trainers. So then I started thinking this is such a wonderful job to be in, because you are exchanging so much when you're teaching somebody or you're training somebody. You're learning also, and you're imparting knowledge at the same time. So that was a wonderful idea which I really liked. And once I went through all these trainings myself, I thought, why can't I become a teacher's trainer? So what happened was, like, I started with in school trainings. Wherever I had got trained and I moved to the next school, I used to talk to the principal and I used to tell them that I've been trained in this, I've undergone these workshops, and I think we can teach all this to other teachers as well. So I started with in school workshops. Within my own school, I used to train teachers, and that is how it started becoming like people, they started talking that, Tina is a teacher's trainer. She trains teachers also. Whereas I had not explored in that particular area as a freelance trainer or anything. It was just that whichever school I was part of, I used to exchange my own capabilities or the ideas or the training which I could impart to my own colleagues. So that is how it started. And finally, when I became a principal of a school and I started with pre-primary principal, I started teaching my own teachers that this is how the school should be running. You should be equipped with all these things. You should get into this. You should know this. These are the basics. You should be knowing. And this, of course, I learned throughout the my teacher's journey. So I started putting those ideas into my own teachers as a principal. I started running workshops for my own staff first. And that is how I started getting calls from different schools. Ma'am, why don't you train our teachers also? Because what happened then, other schools started sending their teachers to our school. That if you're running any workshop, let our teachers be part of that. So that is how all this started. And then finally I came to a situation where my husband was the chairman of the school, so I couldn't work because it was not allowed the chairman's wife working in the same school. So I said, okay, let it be now. I've done enough. Let me train the teachers. So that is how I became teacher's trainer. I started visiting different schools all over India, private schools, and you won't believe right now we are at a place called Indore, and Mau is very close. So Mau, one school has made their school as a center for teachers training, where they invite
All
all the
right.
teachers to attend workshops. And I've done
Yeah.
such long workshops there. I mean, in summer break, continuous 10 days workshops training teachers, from different schools. So this is how it all evolved. And today I've become a freelancer teachers trainer as well. So all with, of course, all the experience through different schools of mine, from different principals, from different, other trainers under whom I got trained and I got certifications done. And that is how I came into this particular domain. And it's a beautiful journey. And it's such a good experience to be imparting knowledge to the teachers. And teachers, when they appreciate and they tell us, okay, ma'am, can you conduct something on this? Can you conduct something on that? So that is how you are also growing. Okay, this can also be taught to the teachers, or teachers are not still aware of this particular concept, so might as well, train them in that as well. So that is how it is going, and going strong, actually.
Well, that's
So yes,
amazing. A lot of teachers must have also taught you a lot of things in this training journey as well.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I was saying that's the beauty of any training or any kind of education system, that when you are imparting knowledge to someone, you're learning more about it yourself, because you want to be well equipped with enough to give it to others. So your learning is also happening at the same time. So that's the beauty of this particular domain, education as such, whether you're imparting education to the children or you're training teachers or you're counseling students, you're continuously learning all the way. So your learning is always, and learning it never ends, whether you are old or young, learning continues in life. So that's the beauty of this particular profession, that learning goes on.
That's true. Learning goes on at every stage of your life. That's true. Well, moving ahead, when you started teaching as a career, or transforming your career from a teacher to a trainer, there must be some obstacles, challenges that you have faced. So what were those challenges that you had to overcome in this journey of your teaching career?
Absolutely. So, once I started training teachers, first I used to take the topics which I was well equipped with, and I was, confident. I had confidence that, okay, I'll take up these topics without any problem. But slowly, when school started asking me for certain topics to be, taking in consideration and planning for their teachers, that was the time that I needed time for myself to equip myself with the latest. And I also had to undergo, training and other things. So I, of course, did my certifications, I equipped myself with whatever was required to train these teachers, and also to remain in touch with the latest, because see, internet is there, even people can sit and they can also search and they can also learn that way. But then you need to be different from others. That is when people appreciate, yes. And that connectivity with the teacher, the ease with which you can deliver your things, and teachers can take it and teachers can then use it. And I make sure that whatever I'm teaching them, it should be, practically seen as well, because then I'm confident that, yeah, my teachers are trained. So basic obstacles, if you talk about, I will say not too many, but yes, since initially I was moving from place to place, so it used to be difficult for me to establish a repo in every place. That is very, very important. So you go, you establish a repo, you prove yourself, and then people start calling you, and then you have no dates to, tell them, okay. So that's the beauty of it, that, obstacles are always there, but when you come over your obstacles and you start enjoying that journey more. So yes, obstacles were there. Family pressures are also there at times, because, and especially when you're moving, your children are also growing up, they also need you. All those things are there. But other than that, family support was always there. So I could, do it all very, very easily and confidently. And a lot of, when you get a lot of praises from your own, staff, or from when I was a principal, I used to hear from my teachers that, ma'am, I think you're the best principal, or you're the best teacher when I was a teacher. So all that, and parents telling you that, ma'am, why don't you get promoted with our students to the next class, because we feel that you're the best teacher. So what else do you need? You don't need any other recognition if parents are giving that kind of, feedback to you or to the staff or to the principal that she's the best teacher. So of course, obstacles are there. And for me, it was a change of a place and establish myself again. Other than that, touch wood, there were not too many obstacles, if you see. So the journey has been, by God's grace, been good. It's been fruitful. It's been good. Yes.
That's amazing. The biggest motivation for a teacher is appreciation by the students, recognition by the
Ab-
parents. That's the motivation. That's what
Absolutely.
teachers work for, right?
Absolutely.
So, well, today's order of the day is learning by doing. How do you motivate teachers to hand over the reins to the students to just be facilitators in the classroom?
Till the time we don't give opportunity to the students, they will never learn. Okay. So, and you don't need to, just go to the class and start talking about the topic which you're going to teach. It's always good that, expose them to something new, expose them to do it and experience it and learn it. That is very, very important. So learning by doing is something like, if teachers can, design some nice activities for the students, and for 2 3 days of their topics, beginning of the topic, if they can do such activities with the students, that students will learn on their own. You don't have to be there. Chalk and talk method is no longer required. if you have right tools to teach them. So when I talk about right tools, I talk about activity kits. I talk about learning by doing. When children use those activity kits, they automatically start, assuming what they're going to, be learning in next coming 2-3 days. So I'll just give you one little example. Suppose you're talking a concept, teaching a concept of money to your children. So you can always tell them, okay, come to my shop and buy things from me. So teacher can give artificial currency to them, and she can have her own shop with old cartons of maybe, toned milk or Nescafe, or you can keep all that stuff and you can have your own shop where children will come and they will buy stuff from you. And you will make their bill and you will ask them how much you paid and you take your change. They will go back. Next day, children can make their own shops and you go and buy. So 2 days activity is exchange of currency. So they've understood that they're learning something about money, but we are not giving them any hard tasks to solve. We are not giving them problem to solve, because here they are probably solving the problem, but in a fun way. So they are learning in a fun way, and they're learning by doing. They're doing something which is very, very interesting. It's a playway method. You're playing along, you're learning something, and you're doing it. And at the end of the day, third day, you will realize that children are thorough with the concept which you want to teach them. You want to teach them what is money, how money is exchanged, what how the you exchange money, you make bill, subtraction, addition, multiplication, everything is coming along. So you don't have to force them, okay, let's do this problem that you have so much of money and use that. They've already learned it. So now you just open the books. If you even want to go straight away to the exercise page that, okay, solve these problems, they'll be automatically doing it because they've gone through those activities. So this is just a little example that how teachers can make it fun-oriented teaching learning process, learning by doing, getting children exposed to such activities. At the end of the day, you are not burdened that children are not understanding. Yes, maybe one odd child may not understand, but you can always give that child a special time. You can call them and can explain them, but then it is not required. Playing way method is amazing. You play along, you do activities with them, and you will see the difference in them. And they will also be waiting for more activities rather than that chalk and talk method and filling the notebooks, writing, rote learning and all, not required.
Yeah.
Understanding of concept is very, very important, and understanding of concept comes by understanding what you are going to get into, what is it all about, and that you learn through activities. And that is what the learning of doing is all about. So you can design n number of activities for your students to make sure that concept is clear and they are ready to take on any problem related to that particular concept. That should be the learning outcome out of your learning by doing process. So that is how it is working fine. Yes.
That's amazing. That's something I would say, that training the child's subconscious mind to do things.
Absolutely.
Right. So they will be, you can do this with any kind of activity, any activity that you do. You should know the end goal, the learning outcome. If you know the learning outcome and you create an activity around that, which is a daily activity that a person do. And that activity is going to train their subconscious mind, and they are going to solve every problem in the subject that they are learning. That's an amazing way to, that is also helping the student to train their mind. That is also a back-end activity for them. So learning by doing, I think this should be, well, this is all done at some level, but it should also be done at large scale in many schools. And also, I think this should be at an early stage.
Yes, you can start it from pre-primary. You can start it from pre-primary and till foundation years, till class 5, these activities, they work like, magic. They actually work like magic because children are, continuously involved. They're not distracted. They are doing something. They're not distracted. They're not, thinking about anything else other than what they are involved into. So that is the beauty of all this. Even you can do your, I'll say question answer session with them, give them jumbled up question answers and let them arrange. And then they can, because while arranging also, they are using their brains, they are thinking about it. So their thinking skills, their later on their imagination, everything is there working on it. And later on they can write it down, because that is the end result which parents also want to see, that what are they doing in the school. Otherwise parents will say, okay, they just go like that and they come back like that, they're not doing anything. So written work, of course it comes, but maybe end of the week, when they are through with all the activities, you give them this jumbled up question answer session. You can have a playway method on that also. Let them arrange their answers and then let them note it down in their notebooks. So it goes home also. Parents are also happy, children are learning, and they're actually learning. But because whatever they are producing, whatever they're taking home is all done by them. It's all what they, in fact, few activities like gardening club and all in the schools, children, where they actually grow things, they grow vegetables,
Yeah.
they learn about those vegetables, and they take those vegetables home to show to their parents that this is, turnip, or this is carrot, this is, I had grown it, I had, watered this particular plant and all. It's such a beautiful concept altogether. Learning by doing all through your curriculum. It is not just English or maths or subject oriented. It is holistic development. When we talk about learning by doing, it's holistic development, because children's thinking skills, their writing skills, their speaking skills, everything, their motor skills, when they're using their hands, even their motor skills are working. So everything, whatever is happening, is all from day one is skill oriented. So it is just that teachers need to, identify what the child is good at, and they
Yeah.
can always push them in that particular area, so that, they explore more in that and can achieve a lot in that particular area. So it becomes the duty of a teacher also, identification of the right skill set. That is very, very important task for a teacher then. And
That's
later
true.
on, of course, telling the parents in parents teachers meeting that this is what you can do, because parents are a very, very important part of, the whole journey of education. I take parents as partner in education. I always tell parents that you're partners in education, because teachers can guide them here, but whatever we tell you to do certain activities at home, if you can do with your children, or if you can spend little time discussing with them, what they do in the school, will always help them to grow in a more powerful manner. So a parent's role as partner in education is also very, very important. We normally focus on that, and especially me as a principal, I so tell my teachers that focus on this particular aspect, so that parents are more involved in their child's education, and they also, they are partners. They are not just, they are, if you see, they are the stakeholders, and one of the stakeholders in the whole education process of the children. So why not be partner there and be part of whatever teacher is doing? Be part of those activities. Do certain activities you can do at home also. So that is how the learning by doing goes on.
Yeah, learning by doing also align with the partnership with parents, because
Yes,
that those children spend more time at home with their parents than they spend in
absolutely.
school. They learn a few things in
Yes,
school, but how they have to live their life, they live it at home. So it is also a partnership,
yes,
I think, where the parents also have to live a life in a way, the way they want their children to become. If you see in the
absolutely.
school, if there is a complaint from of a child by the teacher that he is being not notorious, or he is not behaving well, or if he is shouting at other children in the classroom, so the parents also have to look in the house if such thing is happening in their house, because the
Absolutely.
children are looking at their parents, how they are behaving in the in the house, and the same way they are going to show outside, right? So I think the
Absolutely.
partnership is has to be very much aligned, and it should be the child focused partnership, right?
Absolutely. You said it. Because, I often, when I am driving, I often say that half the Indian population is colorblind. They see red signal also as green.
True.
So they don't stop. They just go through it. So they are colorblind. That is what I always say. And that this is what I used to tell to the parents. I said, if even if you're taking your children for a drive, and if you cross the red, signal, child is observing that, child is also going to do the same thing, that nothing happens. My dad also does it. So don't do such things which children are going to, later on repeat in front of you, and then you feel bad that, why is he doing this? Because he's learned it from you. Teacher is not teaching him in the school all these things. So even parents need to be very, very correct.
Father is a role model.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said it. Yes.
Yeah, right. So what kind of activities do you suggest in the parents and teacher partnership?
Yeah, so parents can do so many activities that with their children. Like suppose we are talking about our neighborhood. In neighborhood, we always talk about, temples, gurdwaras, railway station, or post office and other things. So teacher cannot take, or school cannot send a child to all the places. Maybe one odd short trip can be made to few places, but this homework can be given to the parents that, okay, you take your children to these three places at least. If school is taking them, say, to a temple or to a post office, parents can show them a railway station, or they can show them, airport, or they can show them maybe a mall, things like that. So that homework can be given to parents that, okay, if we are doing few things in the school, you do individually few things. Or suppose you are taking measurement as a topic and you want them to learn more about it, how to measure different things. One day you can take your child to a milkman, or tell him to, okay, let's go buy a liter of milk or half liter of milk, and let your child see, how much half liter of milk is, or how much 1 liter of milk is. Or take him to a tailoring shop and tell a tailor to, take a measurement of his shirt, and child can stick that particular measurement in his notebook, that this is the measurement of my shirt. My sleeve length is this much, my shoulder length is this much. So they are learning all those concepts practically, going to a tailoring shop and with their parents. So these little activities parents can do at home. Not a difficult task for parents at all. It will be little outing for them as a family. That's the one thing. And they will spend little time with their children. That's the second thing. And at the end result will be that their children will learn something, practically. They will see that, okay, this is how the measurement is taken, and this is how, length and breadth is taken, and they can stick that thing, little activity in their own. So activities like these can be easily done by the parents at home. Not a difficult task at all.
Well, I don't think that most of the Indian parents, send their child to buy milk, the toddlers, I would say, or take them for that, or think in that way that we should teach them the measurements like this, or tell
You know
them.
what? Yeah, Hamid, this becomes, in a big way. Like if you see when a child will reach class 8 or 9 or 10, then child can be exposed to doing internships. Okay. Now
Yeah,
they are going and doing these little activities, and even some people, they take their children to Gurdwara for that service also.
yeah,
Langar service and all.
langar
This is part
service.
of their emotional awareness. It becomes that socio emotional awareness. So that is also part of education, that get your children involved in such activities. Truly they get built in a big way. Like they attend internships, they attend different work areas, so that they get exposure to what they are going to get into. If somebody is interested in mechanical engineering, give that exposure to your child from the very beginning, what the mechanics do, what all involves in this particular domain, how this particular domain is like. Give that exposure to the child from the very beginning. And if child gets that kind of exposure, he can make up whether he wants to enter that particular domain or not. Until you're not aware of, that what you're going to enter into, it's going to be difficult. Some children, after doing engineering, after completing working as engineers for 2 years, they come back, because I'm a counselor also. So they come back and they tell me, ma'am, I'm not satisfied with my career. I want to change my career. So guide me further, what all I can do, and whether I'll be successful in that or not. So that particular thing will not happen if you are from day one, you are taken in a particular direction, getting exposed to that particular direction. You are in that domain, you experience it, then you can decide whether this particular place is for me or not. So that is very, very important. It should not happen that you're pushing child in a direction where child is not supposed to be.
Right.
So this starts from the beginning itself, because parents also have to change their mindset. If they're not taking their children today, they'll have to take them tomorrow, because tomorrow our child will be going alone and attending these internships and other courses and short courses to know the background to it, what they want to get into. So it's always good that make it a habit, that give little exposure to your child from the beginning itself, that this is how the life is going to be. So it's always
That's
good
true.
that if parents show interest from the beginning itself.
It's better to give them an exposure of all the fields, all the professions at an early stage in their 8th or 10th grade, so they know what are the
Yes,
options and they can understand their interest, in which field, in which profession they have an
yes,
interest, and then
absolutely.
they can opt in for that course that is going to lead
Yes,
them to become that professional. So moving ahead
yes.
to our next question, as you talked about the career guidance for students, what measurable parameters do you use in order to help students select a career most suited to their interest? Well, this was one thing, but what more, in a more psychological way, when you, as a career counselor, as what test do you take of students?
Yeah, of course, Hamid, we conduct a test because tools are always required to support your career counseling process. And psychometric test is the best tool, because psychometric test is like an X-ray. It actually tells you about, what is your work style, what areas of work you will be comfortable working in. Okay. So whether you are a kind of creative person, or you're people's person, that you like interacting with people, or you're introvert, what kind of personality you have, whether you're introvert, extrovert, or you are, you can't take on difficult situations, how resilient you are, how committed you are, how organized you are. To know all that, because if somebody is getting into career like medicine, and if the child is not organized, cannot even work on his timetable, or cannot sit for long hours of studies, then that particular career is big no for that particular child. Okay. So you should know your strengths, you should know your weaknesses, and this is how you will come to know through psychometric test. That's the best tool. So yes, we use psychometric assessment for children. So first we do one introductory session where we get to know about what children are already into, what kind of extracurricular activities they are doing, whether they are into music, sports, or some kind of, they've achieved some certification or awards at the state level or national level, so that you can start building up on their profile. Okay, this is what the child's strength areas are. Child is already doing very well in this particular domain, and after conducting the psychometric test, you have clear picture of their strengths, their weaknesses, and their aptitude, which is very important. Aptitude is your ability to work. So what areas you have good aptitude for, whether you are very good with numbers, or you are very good with spatial, like you understand the space very well, or you are very creative in your work, you do out of the box thinking and you come up with new ideas, or you are very good with your maybe computer related work. So all that is seen in your aptitude. So we work on interest as well as aptitude of a child, and we come up with 5 career options for a child. And then we design plan A and plan B for a child. If plan A is working, wonderful. If plan A is not working, plan B is always available. So that is how we go about our counseling process. And of course, not only this is not academic counseling, but we also see a lot of gap areas while counseling. Gap areas, when I see, is like weaknesses in child's, maybe emotional awareness, or maybe child is not empathetic, or maybe child is not aware of his or her own emotions, what they are going through. So we even help out the children in that, because we get all teenagers
Yeah,
for counseling. They are at that
they
age,
are
so a lot of
already
hormonal
confused.
changes are taking place. They are already, all of them are confused. Parents are confusing them more, and their peer pressure is there. Peer pressure is also there. My friends are going to do engineering, I must go. Why should you? You can do other things, other fields better than them. So just think about it, just hold it, give a test, sit with a counselor, discuss it out, see your past academic records, how you're performing now, what kind of comfort level you have with each subject, whether you're going to perform well in future or not. Your counselors will help you, guide you. Rest, of course, final decision is going to be yours. That is what we tell our students. But it's always good, I feel, to take little help from a counselors, because in today's world, counselors are available. When we were growing up, counselors were not there. So whatever parents used to tell us, or friends used to tell us, or teachers used to tell us, we just used to move in that direction without knowing our own interest and aptitude,
True.
abilities, whether will be successful or not. And that is how, children used to land up, those who used to think of something else, but then used to land up somewhere else. And most of the this success rate was very, very less. Now the success rate has gone up because children are aware, parents are aware, even teachers are aware that, okay, this, because when we talk about, skill set, as I told you, identification of skill set, if they are identified from the very beginning, even teachers can guide them, school counselors can guide them, parents can motivate them. So we, as a counselor, we always tell parents, be motivators for your children. Don't push them. Let them be, just support them. Be a facilitator there. Don't, if you wanted to be a doctor and you couldn't become a doctor, now you want your child to be a doctor, that should not happen. Let them be, let them decide their own career. And career counselors are there always to help you, guide you in the right direction. Rest, of course, decision is theirs, what they want to do. But now this career counselors thing also came up when I used to do my teachers training. Teachers used to ask me to counsel their students in the school, and I always tell them, I'm not a certified counselor, so I can just guide them a little, but I'll get back. And then it all started. I thought, might as well do some certification so that I can guide and my students as well. So I did my foundation, advanced, master's level, and overseas certification as a counselor. And today, along with my two partners, we are running our own company by the name Ep6 page, and which is a government registered Delhi company. And we are taking on schools, we are guiding students, and we are helping them in, shaping their careers. So that is what we do for class 9 to 12, and even for college going students, even working professionals, if they are still confused where their career goals and not happy in their present careers, the change of career is always there. So we even help them to, look for something new, which they can explore and they can be satisfied and happy. Because by, children, they just get into some field and they are there, then they don't know what to do. So they join also whatever the, campus interviews, companies are coming, they join in, but they are not happy. So they want to change their careers as well. So it's not never late to change a career. It used to be a big thing, 15, 20 years back, that, changing a career will change everything. It would be very, very difficult to leave this job and getting into something new. Today, it's not there. People are changing their careers at the age of 40, 45, 50 also. So we help them there also, changing their career, guiding them what is going to be, fruitful for them in their future. So that is how the career counseling started, and it's doing fine. Yes.
That's amazing.
And I'm quite enjoying it, because you're shaping the careers of so
True.
many, young minds. Yeah.
Right.
Giving them a direction, guiding
Right.
them. Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing how you talked about telling them their ability to look for their future. If you are able to give them the direction, what their strengths and their weaknesses, they will be able to find their own path. The problem is all these teenagers are completely confused. They don't know what is happening around them. They are into a peer pressure of their parents, and their parents' role model is someone in the family who has become
Absolutely.
successful. If
Yes.
I tell you yesterday what
Yeah.
happened, I was speaking to one of my cousins, and he told me some relative came and he was a lawyer, so he said you should become a lawyer. Someone came, he was a doctor, so he said you should become a doctor. So everybody has become successful in their field, and they give their own advice. You should become this is what I have become. Someone else's success path
Yes.
can't be yours. You have to create your own path. You have
Your,
a different
yeah,
vision. And
absolutely.
this
Yes, yes,
career
absolutely.
counseling, actually helps students to identify their interest, and with the tools that are used by career counselors. And it is very necessary at at the higher secondary stage of the students when they are in their 11th or 12th, to identify their interest. Well, we talked about that parent teacher partnership. That is one thing that is going to help them identify their interest
Yes.
in career. And this as a career counselor, as there are a lot of career counselors, and it is, we are even seeing a new culture of schools hiring career counselors, that we need career counselors for this
Yes,
to
yes. Most
help
of the good
students.
schools have their own career. As you said, you yourself said, there's so many factors which are affecting the child's mind, peer pressure, parents' expectations, teachers, push that you're good in this particular area, so get into this. All these things are, confusing the child, the teenager. And as you rightly said, that initially schools never thought about having career counselors in the schools, but all the good schools in India today, they have their own career counselors, where especially class 11 and 12 counselors are giving enough time to each students to guide them or sit with them or to shortlist the universities and colleges for them. So, but very few. If we talk about such schools, maybe 20% of schools are doing that. Still, so many schools are there where we don't have career counselors who can really, in a big way can help students. That's not happening. So that superficial guidance is there, but that deep diving into this particular domain is not there. So deep diving is done by, of course, the freelancers, the other career counselors whom parents hire. Then they give them enough time to go through their old academic records, what they're doing in present, and how their aptitude interest areas are. Everything is aligned, and then the guidance is given to show them the big picture. This is how your career can be if you start doing these things. So yes,
That's true.
career counselors are doing that job.
And it should be in every school, and schools should also put up this culture in front of the parents when they are taking admissions, because it should not be just about that your child is coming to the school and this is just what we are going to do for them just until 12th or until 10th. We are going to help you even succeed in your career. We have the best career
Absolutely.
counselors who
Yes.
help you choose the best universities in the world and help you
Right.
choose the right profession for yourself.
Yeah, like
That could be
colleges
a
have
new
their
thing.
campus interviews. Yeah,
Yeah.
like colleges have their campus interviews. They call companies to, take the children to interview them and take them. Similarly, schools can have counselors, sitting there or helping children in, showing them what kind of universities, colleges we have, and right fit for you as a student. This is a right fit for you. This university is the best for you, or this kind of courses are the best for you. So all that guidance can come through counselors. So yes, counseling is in today's world, it's very, very important to get good counseling and good guidance for your students.
I guess a lot of people who are watching this podcast can also reach out to you as for a career counseling for their school students as well.
Sure, sure, sure. They can always, they can go to www.atfirstpage.com. They will find everything about our counseling team and they will get benefited. Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. It was wonderful having this conversation with you. You shared so much good insights as a trainer, your journey. It's completely amazing. Thank you so much for coming to this podcast, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Hamid, for giving me this platform to share my, experience and my journey. And really, really happy to be here. Thank you so much. Thanks,
It's
Stan,
my
for inviting
pleasure.
me.
It's my
Thank you.
pleasure.
And all the best to all the students and parents for their students, their children's best future.
Don't forget to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel or podcast that you are listening on any of the streaming platforms. We will be coming up with another episode of Tea with a Teacher, bringing to you inspiring stories of teachers around the world.